Okay, this could be one of the most important videos I've done, and I'm not saying that with any arrogance. As you know, if I'm going through it and I pass it on because I've learned something, then I know you'll learn too. If you're suffering right now or dealing with an acute trauma and you need help, then in which case let's go through the initial stages before the emergency services appear. If you haven't dialed 911 or 999, do it now. So second of all, first off, slap yourself in the face. If that doesn't do anything, then breathe with me. Are you ready? Deep breath in, all the way, and then slow breath out. Make sure the exhale is much longer than the inhale. Do it again. Slow breath out. The one last time. Slow breath out. That should help slow down your heart rate. If you're in a panic situation, that should help. It gives you a few minutes of just having the presence of mind to deal with the situation. So, assuming that you have already dialed the emergency services, second of all, what is the situation in front of you? If you have, like I did, somebody laying unconscious on the floor, you need to check, are they breathing? So, check their airwaves, open their mouth, stick your finger in, check their pulse, listen to their heartbeat, get them in the recovery position. Once you've done all of that and you know that they're breathing and they're not showing blue lips, then you know that you've got time, okay? You can calm down for a second. Now, what you need to do at this point is disassociate yourself from the situation. So this is where you need to adopt the persona. This is what helped me, adopting the persona of an emergency services professional. So imagine that person, get the picture in your mind, you are them now. So the way they deal with the situation is quick, short, sharp, pragmatic decisions. That's what you need to do. Most important, make sure the person in front of you or the situation is dealt with. Make sure the emergency services are called. Once you've done those two things, you've got time, okay? You can calm down. The breathing will really help get you in that situation. The disassociation of the situation from the emotional trauma is secondary, and you need to deal with that, and the breathing really helps. Getting that picture in your mind of being one of those emergency services professionals will help. You don't need to do anything else, okay? I also had, at the time, unfortunately, my 4-year-old watching. So I then had to deal with him in the sense that I then made light of the situation. So let's deal with the chronic trauma. So this is the prolonged trauma where you're dealing with quite regular situations that could be, in many situations, high stress, high trauma type situations. So in order to keep your mind in the right place, make sure you're prioritizing the right things, then it's worth knowing these few skills or few methods that I employ. Like always, as you know, I only report on the stuff that works for me. So this is what I'm using at the moment, going through both occasional acute and certainly chronic trauma. And I don't say that without with any exaggeration. This is exactly what I'm experiencing right now. And some of you will question, why have I got the presence of mind to do a video on this? Well, I think I've mentioned to you lot before that talking to you really helps. It helps me deal with the situation. It helps me compartmentalize the stuff that I need to do. It reminds me to do stuff. And actually your comments really help too. So this is not one of those videos where I'm aiming for significant likes. This is not a Wim Hof video where I know I'll probably get more views. This is a video that I genuinely believe if the stuff that I do helps me, then I'm pretty confident it's going to help you if you're in a similar situation. So first off, even with the situations that I'm dealing with right now, I'm not going to go into the detail. However, I will tell you that for quite some time I have been acting as a single parent to a 4-year-old, and whilst my wife has been in and out of hospital, and so it's meant that I've had to make some changes in order to deal with the situation. And during this time, there have been some quite high stress, high trauma like events. And for me to be able to deal with the situation with a calm, pragmatic mind, I do need all of these methods to keep me on the right path. So first off, and I've mentioned this before, but it's worth mentioning, routine. This is what's really helped me. So even when I knew the poo was hitting the fan, I still carried on my daily routine, my morning routine in particular. Now, the reason why I do that is that it's, for me, made sure that normality remains, and that normality keeps my mind on the right track. It means that I'm less likely to fall into sort of panic moments where I'm incapable of helping or being there for my son or my wife. So that daily routine is really important. I actually think if you lose that daily routine, and I've seen this happen to other people where, right down to a point where they're not looking after themselves, they're not even washing. If you lose that, then you're down the slippery slope and you're not going to be able to help anybody. So my daily routine that includes morning yoga, qigong, the Wim Hof method, cold shower, all of that. It doesn't matter what your morning routine is, make sure you have it and make sure you stick to it on a day-to-day basis. And for me, I guess it's a trick. You're tricking the brain into believing that the situation isn't as bad as it really is. So that's number one, okay? If you don't have a routine right now, create one and make sure you stick to it. That is, for me, it was really important. I know it's going to be important for you. Now, second, really important bit and hugely important for me, especially if you're a parent and you're acting in a kind of a single parent fashion. And let's say in my case, you've got a business or two to run, or in your case, either a business or it might well be that you just simply have the 9 to 5. Especially the 9 to 5 job, employers are better these days, or obviously at enabling you to have time off work, but they do get to a point where if this is chronic trauma, if this is prolonged trauma, they get a bit cheesed off. They start to question, they start to disbelieve whether or not what you're going through is real or not. So this second point has proved really, really important to me. It will prove important to you, and this is crucial, especially for you blokes out there, because we tend to be a bit rubbish at this, and that is creating a support network. Now, I'm really lucky in the village, and I've mentioned this before, in the village that I'm in, we have a really good community, and that support network, in part, I've helped create, but mostly these are people that have come to me understanding or knowing some of the situation I'm going through, and they're offering their help. Do not turn that down. Don't be a martyr. Don't believe that you can get through this alone, because you can't, okay? That support network is crucial to your keeping a good, pragmatic, positive, solution-driven mindset. So be man enough to ask those around you for help. And you'll know straight away whether the people that you're asking are willing or unwilling to help. Most people will tell you that they are. Most people will tell you that they want to be able to help, but when they're in the situation, you'll know straight away whether they can or can't. Don't think badly of them. You haven't got time to do that, and nor should you. They may have their own shit to deal with in their lives. So when you ask for help, if the person that you're asking answers with a pause and then says yes, discard them. They're not going to help you. You need the ones that go, yes, categorically, what do you need? How can I help? Those are the people that you need in your support network. Those are the people that are not going to let you down, and that's what you need. So number one, sort your routine. Number two, sort your support network. Again, I've been really lucky. Without this support network, I'm not too sure I would have been able to cope. So number three, you know as well as I do that I've reported on this many times. If you're not doing it, you need to do it now. If you're in a chronic situation, this is where you need to build it into your daily routine. Mindfulness and meditation. Now, it's important to note that you shouldn't get frustrated because you may well try to meditate at some point and just find that your mind's not there, and understandably so, given the stuff you're going through. Don't beat yourself up about it. Just find a time when it is. There's going to be a time in the day, and you'll know when your mind just feels like there's less stuff going on in there, and you need, let's say at the time at which you are sat on the sofa and you're about to turn the TV on, try meditating then. Okay, because it could well be that just by doing that, just by being in that situation, your brain has said, it's okay, time to relax, because it's associating the watching of TV with being a relaxing situation. So choose that time to meditate, okay? This will be really, really important to you. It's absolutely helped me, mindfulness and meditation. And the reason why it helps is you do this daily, and it means that you can deal with life's ups and downs much better. You have a you have a greater opportunity for your brain to be solution focused, to be pragmatic in tough situations, to think more long term in terms of future planning. So that is super important. And to give you an example, this is going to sound weird. Yesterday I was in the A&E department, and I had eyes on from the rest of the folk within the waiting area, because I had turned on one of my meditation downloads. And by the way, and I really do think I need to promote this, Brain Sync, Kelly Howell meditations. These are amazing. They combine binaural beats with meditative music or the spoken word. And there's a particular healing meditation that I turned on. It meant that everything around me was shut off. It meant by closing my eyes and just sat there with a straight back, listening to this for half an hour, I was better able to deal with the situation when I was finally called in to see my wife. So again, it works for me, it's going to work for you. Who are you right now, and how do you see yourself? Are you coping? If you're not coping, then it's time to work more on your mind. Again, meditation, mindfulness are really, really important. I genuinely believe seeing somebody like a clinical hypnotherapist, or in some cases, a counselor, whatever it is, if you need to offload, then do it. If you're a bloke and you're not used to offloading, find a way of doing it. Find somebody that you trust, even if it means going to the pub and having a couple of beers. Doesn't matter. Get friends round if you can't, because you've got children and you've got to consider childcare. Get friends round, offload. Doesn't matter what you say to them, doesn't matter whether you moan. If you need to get it out, get it out. If you need to cry, do it. You know as well as I do, and I'm talking to you blokes, it's not a natural thing to do, but if you need to, then you should, and you should definitely speak to others. That is crucially important. And you've got to keep bringing it back. If you're a parent, bring it back to how you're being perceived by your children, and whether or not you're able to help them, support them, and be strong for them. If you don't genuinely believe that you're capable of doing that right now, then you need to adopt these methods to be able to do exactly that. Your children need to see a strong mother or father. They need to know that they can learn by your actions, not by your words. They need to feel calm, confident, positive by your very presence. And if you're not giving that to them right now, don't worry. It's good that you recognize it, but start adopting the methods that I've suggested, because it really will help. Alrighty, last point. Now this may seem like a stupid question, but what are you eating right now? What are you consuming? What are you drinking? If right now you are self-medicating because of the situation, as in self-medicating through alcohol or via other pharmaceutical means, have a little word with yourself. Are you taking too much? Are you drinking too much? The reason why I say that is because if you are, your mind is not going to be in the right state to be able to deal with the situation. Yes, it might give you that momentary period of feeling calm or relaxed, but when you wake up the next morning, you're not going to be in a solution-focused, pragmatic, calm mode. Your brain is just simply not going to be wired correctly in the morning to deal with the situation. As we know, alcohol is a depressant, but I do believe that the odd glass every now and again in times like these probably do help, but just stick to the one glass. It's a bit like a cigarette, people think that the cigarette calms them down when in fact it does quite the opposite. But what does happen is that the brain has associated your smoking or drinking as being a calming situation. So just merely the association of having a cigarette or drinking alcohol tricks your brain into thinking that you are relaxing. So yes, the odd glass, fine. Any more than that, you need to question what you're doing. You need to question how much you're consuming. It's not going to help, especially in the long term. And especially if you've got children. Now, the other thing is food. certain foods are going to help you, certain foods are not. Obviously, if you already know you've got intolerances and you're reaching for the foods because your brain thinks it needs energy, you're reaching for the foods that you really shouldn't be eating. Again, have a little look at that. It's not a biggie, but it could end up being one over a prolonged time. You need your brain in this hyper-efficient, solution-focused mode. Certain foods are not going to help that. Certain foods are going to slow your brain down. So think about that. Sugar in particular, that's one of my biggest vices. Your brain, in this state right now is needing energy, so therefore it's looking for sugar, it's looking for fats for energy. You need to feed it, obviously, so don't deprive yourself, but if you're eating too much sugar, you know already what it's going to do to your brain. So think about that. This is really now, in this chronic trauma situation, it's all about keeping your body and mind in the right place, staying healthy, getting the right nutrients inside you, performing exercises such as yoga, qigong, going for a run, whatever it is. They all help to boost the neurochemicals the positive neurochemicals in your body. They keep your mind relaxed and focused, your body relaxed and focused. Don't forget, in these situations, your stomach is probably occasionally going to be overproducing acids, which over a prolonged time could cause inflammatory areas within the stomach lining or the colon or the bowel. So you need to look after yourself. By looking after yourself, you're not being selfish, because by looking after yourself, you're then better able to look after others. So that last point there, really, really important. All of this has helped me. I know it's going to help you. Evolution of Dave, signing off. Thanks for watching.